Council members and participants, we are now live.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all. It's good to be back. We will be starting very shortly. We're going to give our opening. But before we begin the council session today, I'd just like to make the following announcement, probably the last time I will do this. Due to the continuing threat to public health from COVID-19, City Council is currently meeting remotely. We are using Microsoft's Teams to make this remote meeting possible. Beginning with the council session on September the 22nd, 2022, City Council sessions will be held in the Council Chambers, Room 400, City Hall. Instructions for how the public may attend and offer public comment are included in the stated meeting notice that was published in the Daily News, the Inquirer, and the Legal Intelligencer prior to the meeting, and can also be found on phlcouncil.com. I now note that the hour has come. The clerk will please call the roll to take attendance, and members that are in attendance, just indicate that you are present when your name is called. Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Good morning, Mr. President and colleagues. Glad to be back. Welcome back, everyone.
Morning.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Good morning, Council President and colleagues and the City of Philadelphia. It's good to be back. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman Driscoll.
Good morning, Mr. President. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Good morning, Council President and colleagues in Philadelphia. Good to be back. Present.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Gim.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman Johnson.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Welcome back, everyone. And still sending out prayers to all the loved ones who lost their lives to senseless gun violence in the city of Philadelphia.
Good morning.
Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, colleagues, Philadelphia, good morning. Good to be back.
Good morning.
Councilman O.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I'm present.
Good morning.
Councilman O'Neill.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Councilman Squilla.
Good morning, colleagues and Mr. President. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Welcome back, everybody. I'm present.
Good morning.
Council President Clark.
And good morning to you all. To begin our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Pastor Isaiah Banks of the Second Pilgrim Baptist Church. He is here today as the guest of the Council President, Darrell Clark. I'm going to ask all members and guests to please bow your heads for the invocation.
Shall we pray? I will lift up mine eyes to the hills from which comes my help. All of our help comes from the Lord. God, our Creator, our faithful and gracious God, we thank you for yet another opportunity to come to you in prayer. We're thanking you, O God, for bringing us safely to another opportunity to meet and to share. God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy that is continuous and that never fails. God, we pray now that you will first and foremost continue to bless all of our city council. God, we pray that you will continue to allow them to lead, continue to allow them to be bold, to be passionate, to be loving, caring, oh God, and sensitive to the needs of our communities. God, we pray that you will touch our city, but not only our city, our state, our country, and our world. God, there's so much going on. Violence, senseless deaths, COVID, sickness, oh God, drug problems, gang problems. And God, we know that there is nothing too hard for you. And so, God, we pray that you will continue to heal our land, continue to bring peace, continue, oh God, to shine light into a dark world. God, we pray now that this meeting will go smoothly, oh God, that things will be done God, we lift up every school teacher, every school, God. We lift up, oh God, those who are in need and hungry, oh God, and homeless, God. We pray that you will see fit to do all that you can do. We know, God, that you can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we can ask or think. God, we love you today. We adore you. And we pray, oh God, that you will continue, oh God, to allow us to sound the trumpet, oh God, and speak truth to power, oh God, so that peace and love and joy and happiness will be not only in our city, but in our world. God, we love you and we adore you. And we pray these prayers in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Amen, Pastor. Thank you so much, Pastor, for your spiritual guidance this morning. We really appreciate it, and we really need it. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, and the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 23rd, 2022 be approved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 23rd, 2022 stand approved. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And our journal is approved. And the next order of business is request for leave of absence. Excuse me. And the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of members of council, there are no requests for leaves of absence today.
Thank you, Councilman. The chair now recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council and that were not listed on the calendar circulated prior to today's session. Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council, and as required by law, subsequently established on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first readings, the consideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolutions that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included in the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman. It's been moved and probably second that the legislative matters stated by Councilman Squilla may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of this session of council. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. And that concludes our Sunshine Act. And our next order of business is communications. And I would ask the clerk to please read the messages from the mayor and any other communications that he may have in his possession.
To the President, from the Mayor to the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, pursuant to sections 4604 and 2307 of the Home Rule Charter, I am today transmitting to the Council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on Bill number 220639. And I am pleased to advise you that on July 6, August 31, and September 13, 2022, I signed all the bills that were passed by Council on June 16, 2022. And that on June 27, June 30, July 6, July 27, August 31, and September 13, 2022, I signed all the bills that were passed by Council on June 23, 2022, except bill numbers 220110, 220413, 220417, and 220527, which I am returning without my signature, and bill number 220446, which I am returning disapproved. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2318 East Boston Street and 2160 East Gordon Street, located in the First Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2863, 2868 Amber Street, 2044, 2077 East Birch Street, 2118, 2138, 2142, 2150 Belmore Street, 2115, 2140 East Monmouth Street, 2100, 2108, 2117, 2120, 2138 East Orleans Street, and 2106, 2150 East Stellar Street, located in the First Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title of 4322 Lancaster Avenue, 767, 769, 771 Palace Street, 5517 Paspal Avenue, 3909 Wallace Street, 642 North 39th Street, and 713 North 43rd Street in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fees simple title to 911, 913, 915, 919, 921, 923, and 925 West Auburn Street, 3812, 3826, 3834, 3846, 3850, and 3861 North Camac Street, 2317 Ridge Avenue, and 1436 North 17th Street in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 3217, 3241, 3248, 3253, and 3257 North 15th Street, 3305, 3333, 3340, 3342, and 3346 North 16th Street, 3314, 3316, 3320, 3327, 3331, 3342, 3344, 3346, 3412, and 3414 North 17th Street in the 8th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2809, 2822, 2824, 2825, 2826, 2827, and 2828 Wharton Street, 1308 through 26, 1323, 1327, and 1355 South Dover Street, and 1351 South 29th Street, including 1354 South Dover Street, located in the 2nd Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1600 through 40 North 9th Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2151 Fairhill Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 5112 Ludlow Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 6131 Bainton Street, located in the 8th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2609 through 27 Sears Street, including 1308 through 14 South 26th Street, located in the 2nd Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1402, 1403, 1405, 1407, 1408, 1409, 1411, 1412, 1413, 1414, 1417, 1418, 1421, 1422, 1423, 1424, 1425, 1426, 1427, 1429, 1431, 1432, 1433, 1435, 1436, 1438, 1441, 1443, 1444, 1445, 1446, 1447, 1449, 1457, 1462, 1513, 1514, 1532, 1536, 1547, 1559, 1561, 1611, 1613, 1629, 1631, 1633, 1635, and 1641 North Marston Street, 2712, 2714, 2810, 2836, and 2838 Cecil B. Moore Avenue, 1316, 1318, 1400, 1406, 1408, 1414, 1418, 1422, 1426 through 32, 1434, 1436, 1438, 1444, 1448, 1450, and 1634 North 27th Street, 1544 and 1546 North 26th Street, 1602, 1608, 1614, 1632, 1637, and 1639 through 41 North Bailey Street, 1420, 1444, 1450, and 1453 North Edding Street, and 2704, 2705, 2710, and 2720 Jefferson Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1000 and 1026 through 36 Fairmount Avenue, including the former 671 and 681 through 87 North 11th Street, and 1015 through 29 Mellon Street, 1005, 1007, and 1013 Mellon Street, 1019 and 1021 Wallace Street, 647 through 67, 662 through 68, and 670 through 72 North 10th Street, and 667 and 677 North 11th Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution appointing McQuan Brinkley to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District, and a resolution appointing Jeffrey Brown to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District, and an ordinance authorizing an increase in the non-electoral indebtedness of the city within the Pennsylvania constitutional limit, authorizing the bond committee to sell bonds at public or private negotiated sale to provide funds toward various capital municipal purposes, providing for appropriations to the sinking fund commission for the payment of such bonds, and authorizing agreements to provide credit or payment or liquidity sources for the bonds in connection with issuance of the bonds, and certain other actions, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. For those in the audience, be it via radio or online on TV, it was an extraordinary number of resolutions forwarded from the mayor's office, from the land bank. Just for the record, the predominant number of those resolutions are for purposes of the Turn the Key program, which is the city council initiative for affordable homeownership. So this for people is quite a bit of property. So fortunately, that will now move ahead. Thank you, Mr. Decker. That concludes our communications. And our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. And by a way of a reminder, we are asking that all resolutions, including privilege resolutions, be placed on the final passage calendar for the next session of council unless they are being referred to committee. In our current remote environment, this procedure will provide an appropriate opportunity for public comment. I would like to thank you in advance for your anticipated cooperation. Mr. Decker, please read the titles of the legislation that's being offered by our members today.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson offers one bill entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 10300 entitled Minors to revise the evening curfew hours.
For the committee.
Councilwoman Gim offers two bills and three resolutions entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 9800 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Landlord and Tenant to modify requirements and authorizations related to the city's residential eviction diversion program, including associated changes to the landlord and tenant relationship and to make certain technical changes.
For the committee. Hold on one second, Mr. Decker. Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to make some brief remarks on the introduction of this bill. First, I want to acknowledge my colleagues whose partnership helped develop one of the nation's first and most successful eviction diversion programs. When Council first began exploring strategic targeted approaches to tackle one of the nation's highest rates of eviction in our city, thousands of families were enduring the hardship and trauma of an eviction. Black renters, women, and parents and caregivers were among those who were most at risk. But we stepped up. Over a number of years, we had authorized an anti-eviction task force, a tenant legal defense fund, and a right to counsel, and the Philadelphia Eviction Prevention Project. In the midst of the pandemic, we passed the Emergency Housing Protections Act, including the establishment of the Philadelphia Eviction Diversion Program, where we have seen overwhelming success in helping low-income residents avoid evictions and ensuring that landlords also get paid and have a due process rights when they get to court. Court wait times have been reduced from 90 days now down to almost 30 days. And most dramatically, from more than 22,000 evictions pre-pandemic, our city saw about 6,800 evictions in 2021, a drop of more than 2/3. And thanks to the leadership of Councilmember Johnson, this city council body has committed millions of dollars for targeted rental assistance to specifically support the eviction diversion program. In what was once the fourth highest evicting city in the nation, we have reduced evictions by almost 70%, 2 years in a row, and we've proven ourselves a national model. This diversion program is now adopted in 180 jurisdictions in 36 states and has been praised by the Biden White House, including multiple appearances by city leaders to champion this program. And it started right here, in this body, in the most difficult of times. Most important, the eviction prevention work is a model of collaborative partnership. Through this program, we've actually built an integrated and informed network among city agencies, housing advocates, renters, landlords, community organizations, and our municipal courts. And we built on that collaborative model to make sure that we provide landlords and tenants with the resources to work together and achieve stability. 85% of participants in the eviction diversion program who enter mediation find a resolution other than an eviction. This has been a model of hope and action in difficult times, and I'm proud to introduce this legislation to update and extend this program. This bill builds on the partnership we've created with municipal court to both continue the success of our work to find solutions before eviction proceedings are followed. And it also urges the municipal court to institute a post-filing program. I want to thank our partners in this effort, our city agencies, Judges Wolf and Dugan at Municipal Court, Paul Cohen at HAPCO, and Andre Del Val at the Apartment Association, as well as all of our partner nonprofit agencies and mediators for making this bill possible. And of course, to my co-sponsors, we are confident that Philadelphia will continue to deliver a model policy for this nation and meaningful solutions for all our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Decker, please proceed.
Councilwoman Kim also offers an ordinance adding a new chapter, 6-1400, to the Philadelphia Code entitled Privacy of Certain Health Information to establish privacy protections for information related to reproductive health care.
For the committee, along with the last bill, in case I didn't say that.
And
Councilwoman?
I was just going to make brief remarks here too.
Councilwoman, did you need to be recognized again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank
you. Recognize Councilwoman Kim.
Thank you. So today, Philadelphia sends a message to our residents and to the nation. Abortion is legal in Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia will be doing all we can to protect all those who seek to exercise their legal rights within our city. Today, along with colleagues, Councilmember Brooks and Gautier, and supported by all the women of City Council, we are introducing 4 pieces of legislation that defend abortion access and reproductive care here in Philadelphia, and especially from threats in other jurisdictions across the country. 2 pieces of legislation that I'm introducing focus on privacy and a broader call for the city to take action. The privacy bill protects any individual or entity from voluntarily sharing information related to people seeking or providing reproductive health care when it would be used to criminalize or penalize care that is legal in Pennsylvania. And with this, Philadelphia will enact one of the strongest privacy laws in the country to protect abortion as a fundamental right. It will protect patients and it will protect providers. The second resolution, which Mr. Decker will introduce, is about the city and council's broader collaboration to protect rights and freedoms. In particular, we want to guarantee that no city resources are used to assist with the criminalization of abortion. That means Philadelphia should restrict both personnel and funds from supporting out-of-state investigations, lawsuits, or prosecutions related to abortion. We must support further public health messaging to improve awareness of trusted abortion and reproductive health care options, and we support dedicating additional funding to increase access to essential care. We will be working with our medical institutions and providers at abortion clinics to advance best practices on data and privacy and to ensure physical safeguards. No one who is providing or receiving this level of health care should have to fear for their safety. And finally, we are authorizing the creation of an abortion rights task force to identify further ways to protect and expand abortion access in the city of Philadelphia. This task force will be led by frontline providers and those who are most impacted in this moment. We on City Council will be fighting side by side with the administration and our state colleagues to ensure that all our rights and freedoms are protected. And together we will truly make Philadelphia a place for reproductive freedom. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committees.
Councilwoman Kim also offers 3 resolutions entitled a resolution declaring the city of Philadelphia's commitment to protect and expand reproductive rights and abortion access in the face of extraordinary threats, and authorizing a task force to advance recommendations and coordinate initiatives to ensure that all Philadelphians, as well as those who seek care here, are able to exercise their fundamental right to bodily autonomy.
next week's calendar.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing Juntos on their 20th anniversary for their inspiring and transformative work serving, caring for, and organizing Latinx immigrant community in South Philadelphia and beyond, and their leadership in fighting for.
Mr. Decker, hold on. Councilwoman, did you need to be recognized again?
Oh, after the reading of this resolution, Council President.
Okay. All right. Mr. Decker, go ahead.
Latinx immigrant community in South Philadelphia and beyond, and their leadership in fighting for the right to a quality education and the freedom to live with dignity regardless of the immigration status. Mr. President, Councilwoman Gim would like to be recognized for a motion on this resolution.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you, Council President. I ask that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of this resolution on today's final passage calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it. That will be on today's final passage calendar.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Asian American Studies program at the University of Pennsylvania and its success in cultivating a vibrant field of scholarship, while also serving as a home for numerous generations of students with an incredible diversity of experience, fostering deep connections within our city's Asian communities, serving as a potent force in the fight against racism, and shaping the conversation of what it means to be Asian American in the past and in the present. Mr. President, Councilwoman Gim would like to be recognized for a motion on this resolution.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you so much, Council President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of this resolution on today's final passage calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. And that resolution will be on today's final passage calendar.
Councilman Thomas offers three resolutions entitled a resolution honoring the life and memory of Champion of the Week, Clifton E. Hubbard Jr., and his 46 years dedicated to the Philadelphia School District. Mr. President, Councilman Thomas would like to be recognized for a motion on this resolution.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Sorry for the delay. Thank you, Council President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of this legislation this week.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Those opposed? The ayes have it. And that resolution will be on today's final passage calendar.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Streets and Services to hold hearings to examine the Philadelphia Parking Authority's customer convenience and accessibility to remedy parking violations.
That will be on today's final passage calendar.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Education to hold hearings regarding the Philadelphia Youth Network, regarding their Work Ready program and concerns about delays in compensation for workers.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas. Thank you, Council President. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this very briefly. For those who don't know, my professional experience before coming to the City Council really thrived in the space of education, but especially working in non-traditional spaces. I pride myself on the work that I've done. In the summertime, I even still do a free camp every year that I'll talk about a little later in the council session. But for me, from the time I started in the City Council, one of the things I've screamed about is the city's preparation or lack thereof as it relates to the summer and preparing quality opportunities for young people in the city of Philadelphia. This has been something that I've been extremely adamant about. And based on where we are right now, we can see that there's a sense of urgency as it relates to just the crime in the city, but the quality programs or the lack thereof that we offer young people. So for us to be in a situation that we're in right now, where we're seeing the victims as well as the culprits being younger and younger, for us to present the hurdles that we did during this summer to put young people in a position when they want to make a quality decision to better themselves and make a few dollars, it's an embarrassment. I want to take a moment to read a couple comments. I normally don't do this, but I posted something on social media talking about this issue because it's something that's a significant problem. And some of the comments really surprised me. And I know we're limited on time, So I'm not going to read all of them, but I do think some of the comments puts us in a position where we can understand this issue and how it impacts the citizens of Philadelphia. One person wrote, you're absolutely dead on with this. My son worked for 2 summers. I'm not complaining because I want to give him the opportunity to have some type of physical experience. The person goes on to say that because their son didn't get paid, they just paid their son out of their pocket so that their son could have a few dollars, but at the same time wanted them to have the professional experience. Another comment said, I'm thrilled to hear this. I once worked for an organization that partnered with them each summer, and their operations included bundle payments to teens and are notoriously chaotic. Another person said, I work for the Department of Recreation, and every summer this is an issue. Nothing disappoints the young people more than them not receiving their paycheck. I have about 25 other comments that I can read that are similar to this, that talks about the disappointment of parents, of students, and the fact that this has been a consistent problem as it relates to young people in the city of Philadelphia. It's difficult for us to say every single day that we're doing the best we can as it relates to the crime when we can't get simple things like this right when our young people want to make positive decisions. Constituents in the city of Philadelphia, they don't see this as an isolated issue. They see this as another example of government failing them. So I look forward to us continuing to have a conversation and figure out what can we do to better service our children in the city of Philadelphia. And I think we need to take the steps right now, starting in September, to plan for next summer so we don't have the same debacle in 2023. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues. And thank you to the co-sponsors of this legislation, Council Members Gaudier, Brooks, as well as Council Member Bass. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Council. That will be referred to.
I can't hear your audio, Mr. President.
I'm sorry. I said that would be referred to committee.
The education hearing resolution, Mr. President?
Yes.
Okay, so it'll go on today's calendar for adoption to authorize the Committee on Education to have a hearing?
Yeah.
It'll go on today's calendar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, I'm distracted, Mr. President.
All right. Tell them to leave you alone. Whoever it is.
Okay. Councilman Jones offers 7 bills and 5 resolutions. 6 bills on behalf of Council President, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 19-1300 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Real Estate Taxes, and Chapter 19-1500 entitled Wage and Net Profits Tax, by providing for tax credits for volunteer community service and adding a new Chapter 19-4600, providing for eligibility criteria. And an ordinance to amend Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by revising certain provisions of Chapter 14-500 entitled Overlay Zoning Districts by creating the NBO Nelson Brown Peoples Village Overlay District. And an ordinance amending Bill number 220401 entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 19-1500 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Wage and Net Profits Tax by revising certain tax rates under certain terms and conditions to correct a typographical error in stating the period in which a reduction in the resident net profits tax rate is applicable, and an ordinance amending Bill number 210284 entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 19-2600 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Business Income and Receipts Taxes by revising certain tax rates under certain terms and conditions to fix a mistake in identifying the tax year to which a tax reduction applies, so that the tax reduction applies in fiscal year 2023. And an ordinance to amend Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by revising certain provisions of Chapter 14-500 entitled Overlay Zoning Districts by creating the YOD Yorktown Neighborhood Overlay District. And on his own behalf, Councilman Jones, and also for Council President Clark, Councilman Jones offers an ordinance to amend Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by revising certain provisions of Chapter 14-500 entitled Overlay Zoning Districts by creating the NHO Nehemiah Homes Overlay District. And on his own behalf, Councilman Jones offers an ordinance establishing no truck parking restrictions near various locations, including recreation centers, libraries, parks, and schools in the 4th Council District.
Thank you. Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committees.
And Councilman Jones also offers 5 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2151 Fairhill Street located in the 7th Councilmanic District. On his own behalf, a resolution recognizing and honoring Philadelphia police officers Taylor Seidler and Paul Watson for protecting the lives of community residents by immediately and heroically springing to action in response to the shooting at Shepherd Recreation Center on August 16, 2022. And a resolution supporting the National Minority Business Development Agency and recognizing October 3, 2022 through October 7, 2022 as Philadelphia Minority Enterprise Development Week, which provides critical information, resources, opportunities, and inspiration to the minority business community. And a resolution congratulating Philadelphia native Quinta Brunson for winning the 2022 Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing in a Comedy Series for her hit television show, Abbott Elementary.
Next week's calendar.
And a resolution congratulating Cheryl Lee Ralph on her historic 2022 Emmy win for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series for her role in Abbott Elementary.
Next week's calendar. Councilman Jones, did you want to be recognized? Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, the resolution honoring the police officers of the 19th that stepped up to the plate, unlike those who were at Uvalde, interceded and apprehended individuals involved in that shootout. You should note that 10 firearms were found at that shootout, 96 shell casings in the street, and no young people were hurt. Over 200 of them were practicing football at the time. I want to thank all of my members that came out to support us the day after to make sure that we recognize playgrounds and schools as safe places where our children play. I want to also thank Councilwoman Member Bass for a long time ago being proactive in putting cameras at recreation centers. But these two, the other resolution is about truck parking, seemingly unrelated to the recognition of the 19th police officers, but it is. One of the problems at rec centers, at schools, is that trucks park, blocking line of sight from officers to be able to see in those spaces, to be able to make sure that things are as they should be. So these no truck parking allowances help to keep our children safe. Needless to say that we lost a municipal worker, Tiffany Fletcher, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time in between a shootout. All of this, we have to, in today's normal, take provisions to make those spaces even more safe. So I would encourage my colleagues to take a look at these schools, at these churches, at these rec centers to make sure we're doing everything we can to provide safe spaces for our seniors and our young people to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Mr. Decker.
Councilman Johnson offers 5 resolutions, entitled a resolution honoring Ann Bobyard Nevins for her service as president of PIDC and wishing her the best in her future endeavors. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2809, 2822, 2824, 2825, 2826, 2827, and 2828 Wharton Street. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2609 through 27 Sears Street, including 1308 through 14 South 26th Street. And a resolution also naming the 1700 block of South 22nd Street, Emma Hatton Wilson Way, to honor Emma Hatton Wilson for a lifetime of service to the South Philadelphia community. And a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Philadelphia's own Rakim Hashim Allen, known worldwide by the stage name PNB Rock, on the occasion of his untimely passing. Mr. President, I believe Councilman Johnson would like to be recognized regarding that resolution.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Council President, I just want to acknowledge and thank all my colleagues for supporting this resolution, honoring the life and legacy of Rakeem Hashim Allen, better known as PNB Rock, who was fatally shot this past Monday afternoon during a robbery at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles. PN Rock was 30 years old. He left behind several children, but most importantly, he was the voice of the young people here in the city of Philadelphia. So I just want to ask first, can we officially just take a moment to have a moment of silence in his honor, his memory?
Please have a moment of silence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council President. And Council President, you know, for me, the reason why this touched home, and this resolution is also introduced in concert with my colleague, Councilwoman Cindy Bass, who represents PNB, because this was a young man I had an opportunity to meet doing a couple Stop the Violence rallies. One started off in South Philadelphia, but that was one of many that he has done. But most importantly, he definitely represented a generation of young people that need help when it comes to the issue of trauma around gun violence, when it comes to the issue of providing them opportunities, but most importantly, making sure they have a voice in the seat at the table. And so even though his platform, where he could have just said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on making money, he still focused on particularly trying to save our young people and give them a sense of direction and most importantly, hope in the midst of all the gun violence that we're seeing here in the city of Philadelphia. And so I want to take a moment to introduce this resolution honoring his life and legacy, but also just acknowledge how he used his platform to improve the quality of life here in the city of Philadelphia. One of his first songs was a song called My City Needs Something. And I just want to say a few lyrics from that particular song, because for me, it was an example of who this young man was. He wasn't a gangbanger. He wasn't out there having beef with other rappers. This was a young man who was sitting with his girlfriend at a restaurant, enjoying himself, as he should, and someone decided to come and snuff out and take his life. He moved to another city to improve the quality of his life as well as his career, but tragically lost his life as someone who decided to take it based upon the possessions that he had on that particular day. And so one small verse from the song he created called My City Needs Something is very, very relevant to what we're going to today. Goes as this in verse 2. Waited all winter for this crazy summer. Who would think that they would take so many from us? I come from a city where they show no love and killing innocent people. Man, that is so messed up. Good die young ain't how it's supposed to be. Every time I turn around, I lose somebody close to me. I try and hold back the tears and be a soldier, you see, but memories and pain just seem to take a hold of me. My city needs something, and that's relevant to as we all stand on the front line addressing this issue of senseless gun violence and making sure that we have our young people at the table. This is why we have these hearings. This is why we advocate and we fight for $100 million plus budget to focus on violence prevention so we can save this generation. This is why Isaiah Thomas is saying it's totally unacceptable that we have a system here in the city of Philadelphia that can't pay young people on time in the midst of close to 400 soon plus homicides that we're seeing. So that's the trauma that our young people are facing. And this is a young guy, a young brother, a young king who was the voice of our young people. And I just wanted to make sure that we honor his life and his legacy. Thank you, Council President, and thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Councilman. Those resolutions will be on next week's calendar. The Decker.
I think the Chipmunks is joining us.
Desto? That mine.
I think that's Decker's mic.
Yes, Mr. Decker may need to log off and log back in to fix that.
Okay. We will take a brief, very brief pause so we can get our technology straight because we cannot proceed without Mr. Decker.
We are now live, Council President.
Mr. Decker, please.
Councilwoman Brooks offers one bill and one resolution. Entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 9-1100 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Fair Practices Ordinance, Protections Against Unlawful Discrimination, to protect against discrimination related to reproductive health, modify and harmonize related provisions of the chapter, and make other related or technical changes.
For the committee.
Councilwoman Brooks also offers a resolution honoring the life and achievements of Michael Hinson Jr., whose art, leadership, and activism established community strongholds for Black and Brown LGBTQ youth and led to critical civil rights advancements for LGBTQ people in Philadelphia.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Gautier offers one bill and two resolutions. Entitled an ordinance amending Title VI of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Health Code, to establish legal protections related to entities or individuals seeking, providing, or assisting others to obtain reproductive services.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you, Council President, and good morning, all. The bill I introduced today as part of the Reproductive Freedom Platform that I co-authored with members Gim and Brooks protects patients who receive reproductive health care in Philadelphia, as well as the providers of that health care from predatory lawsuits initiated by out-of-state actors. To do this, we are establishing a private right of action so patients and providers can countersue individuals or groups that file suit against them for receiving or providing reproductive health care services. This means a Philadelphian sued for getting an abortion anywhere in the United States, or any American who gets an abortion in Philadelphia will be able to recover damages and legal fees if they are brought to court for exercising their right to an abortion. The legislation also gives abortion providers the opportunity to countersue if they are brought to court for providing their services to patients in Philadelphia. We won't stand by and let anti-choice residents of other states and other so-called pro-life extremists control what goes on in our city, because we know that being truly pro-life means allowing people to choose what happens with their bodies without fear of retaliation. To those seeking reproductive health care in Philly and across the United States, you will always be welcomed with open arms to Philadelphia to make your own choices about your own body. And to healthcare providers, know you will be protected from predators seeking to stop you from giving patients the care they need. Thank you to all of the abortion advocates in Philadelphia and the Commonwealth and the nation for fighting for reproductive justice and human rights. I'm very proud to stand with you. And thank you to my colleagues, Councilmember Brooks and Councilmember Gim, and all the women of council for recognizing the urgency of this issue and for your willingness to take bold action to protect the right to choose here in Philadelphia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. That bill will be referred to committee.
Councilwoman Gauthier offers two resolutions, entitled a resolution requesting the mayor to return to council bill number 220517A, entitled an ordinance authorizing the installation, ownership, and maintenance of various encroachments in the vicinity of 1 Convention Avenue for the purpose of reconsideration by the council of the vote by which said bill passed council. Mr. President, Councilwoman Gauthier would like to be recognized for a motion on this resolution.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of this resolution on today's final passage calendar.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is approved, and it will be on today's final passage calendar.
Councilwoman Gauthier also offers a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the redevelopment authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Haddington urban renewal area, unit number 1, identified by house number and street address as 5217 through 5219 Haverford Avenue.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman O'Neill offers one resolution entitled a resolution congratulating Philadelphia Soccer Club 05 Kappa Rage Girls Soccer Team.
next week's calendar.
Councilman Squilla offers one bill and 5 resolutions entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 9, 3300 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Use of Inspection of Tower and Mobile Cranes in Construction to require brakes for operators.
Heard the committee.
And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2318 Boston Street. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2863, 2868 Amber Street, 2044, 2077 East Birch Street.
Next week's calendar.
And a resolution appointing McQuan Brinkley to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District.
Heard the committee.
And a resolution appointing Jeffrey Brown to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District.
Committee.
And a resolution also naming Shunk Street between 10th Street and Alder Street as Julian Angelucci Way.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Bass offers 4 resolutions. Entitled a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title 2, 3217, 3241, 3248, 3253, and 3257 North 15th Street. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 6131 Bainton Street. And a resolution recognizing and honoring the life and accomplishment of Charlene Curtis. And a resolution renaming the 2000 through 2100 blocks of Lehigh Avenue as Pastor Benjamin Smith Senior Drive.
Those resolutions will be on next week's calendar.
Councilman O offers 5 resolutions. Entitled a resolution recognizing September 2022 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Philadelphia in honor of childhood cancer patients, caregivers, survivors, and those children who have succumbed to the disease. And a resolution recognizing and honoring the life and legacy of Joey DeFrancesco. And a resolution honoring and recognizing Wilfredo P. Rojas for his towering achievements as a leading civil rights activist for the Latino community in Philadelphia. And a resolution authorizing the City Council's Committee on Public Safety and the Special Committee on Gun Violence Prevention to hold hearings regarding relocating victims who are targets of deadly violence and determining how the $500,000 appropriated for their relocation was utilized.
Okay, I think, Mr. Decker, the last resolution was requesting a hearing.
It was, Mr. President.
All right, and that will be on today's calendar, and the prior resolution will all be on next week's calendar. One moment, please. I'm getting a message that is it difficult to hear? Is my volume low? I've been asked to mute and unmute. Okay, I'm going to unmute. I'm going to mute and unmute. Try to correct this.
I hear you fine.
There were a few moments here and there, Mr. President, where it was difficult to hear you. But in the last 3 or 4 minutes, you've been perfectly fine.
Can you hear me now? Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Modesto.
You're welcome, Steve.
And Councilman O also offers a resolution recognizing September as National Recovery Month in Philadelphia and celebrating the 21st annual ProAct Recovery Walks to promote recovery and work to end the stigma surrounding drug and alcohol addiction.
Next week's calendar.
There are no other bills or resolutions being offered today, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. We have no reports from committee today. So our next order of business is consideration of the calendar. There being no bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up resolutions and bills on the second reading and final passage calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following resolutions and bills are being called up from second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 210, 913, 220, 643, 220, 647, 220, 649, 220, 650, 220, 651, 220, 322A, 220, 412, 220, 120, 220, 365, and 220, 220-239. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you very much, Councilman Jones. Before we proceed with our public comment session, which will be next on our agenda, we'll take a brief 5-minute break to allow our technology professionals to connect our speakers for today's public comment session. We'll take a brief break.
Council President, we are now live.
Thank you. Thank you. We're back. Sorry for the brief technical difficulty. We are now back. We will now move to our public comment session. But before we proceed with the consideration of the public comment, just want to run a couple of things by our public. Now that everyone is connected to the meeting, and before considering the resolutions and bills we have before us today, we will consider public comment, and it will go as follows. Public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendar for possible action at a session of council. A speaker on any of those matters may sign up to testify in advance of that council session by calling 215-686-3406 by 3 p.m. the day before the session. When you call, we'll take your name, phone number, the number of the legislative item you are commenting on, and whether you are in support of or against the legislation, and add your name to the list. In addition, beginning with the council session of September 22nd, 2022, public comment will be in person, and speakers will also have the opportunity to sign up on the morning of a council session at a table that will be provided for that particular purpose. Once public comment begins, speakers will be called in order in which their names appear on the sign-up sheet. Under ideal circumstances, which we kind of have today, speakers will each have 3 minutes to speak. However, this time limit may vary from session to session based on the volume of speakers. In order to be fair to all of those wishing to speak, I intend to hold faithfully to the established time limit upon being asked to begin your testimony. The timer will be started. We will monitor your remaining time throughout your testimony. And when there are 30 seconds remaining to your time, you will be reminded of this. Once your allotted time has passed, you will be asked to conclude your remarks, and shortly thereafter, you will be muted and disconnected from our speakers list. Also reserve the right to limit the number of speakers where repetitious comments are being made, the same subject matter, which could affect callbacks and for public comment at the meeting. So please be aware that the public meeting is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. So by continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. I want to thank you very much for your willingness to participate in our public comment session and your contribution to our government right for a public comment session. I will now ask Mr. Decker, please read your first name on our list of speakers.
The first speaker today, Mr. President, is Leola Hubbard, commenting on a resolution introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Good morning. State your name for the record and please proceed.
Good morning. My name is Leola Hubbard, and thank you for this opportunity to speak in support of the adoption of the Champion of the Week proclamation in honor of my brother, Clifton E. Hubbard, Jr. I believe it is in order in light of his lifelong commitment to the health and athletics of the city of Philadelphia. This is evidenced by over 46 years of teaching in the Philadelphia public school system, coaching, and participation in other city programs, such as the summer tennis program, which benefited thousands of citizens young and old. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your testimony. We really appreciate it.
The next speaker is Peter Winslow, commenting on 210913.
Good morning. State your name for the record.
My name is Peter Winslow.
Please proceed. Sorry.
My name is Peter Winslow. I'm a Philadelphia resident. I speak to you today as president of a smart collaboration, as a supporter of Toxic-Free Philly, and as a candidate you recommended to Mayor Kenny for appointment to the initial Philadelphia Public Financial Authority Board of Directors. Thank you, President Clark and members of the City Council, for this opportunity to offer public comment in support of resolution number 210913 and related matters. The City Council is authorized to exercise the legislative function to make law and policy that the mayor is duty-bound to enforce. The City Council passed ordinance number 200425A to provide healthy outdoor public spaces by a vote of 17-0, and ordinance number 210956A to establish the Philadelphia Public Financial Authority by a vote of 15-1. Yet Mayor Kenny refuses to implement these laws. To preserve the very essence of democratic governance, resolution number 210913 authorizes litigation to implement the Hobbs bill. To protect the same principle, Council should also authorize litigation to implement establishment of the Philadelphia Public Financial Authority. When Mayor Kenny was a council member, he supported a similar resolution to bring a lawsuit against then Mayor Street. Kenny was right then and wrong now. Nevertheless, a smart collaboration seeks collaboration rather than confrontation. Therefore, ask the council to subpoena Mayor Kenny to explain his disregard of the law. Your subpoena is necessary because Mayor Kenny refuses to engage voluntarily with either the legislature or his constituents. We believe good faith discussion can produce a satisfactory resolution. Please command Mayor Kenny's attention through subpoena and litigation. Protect the integrity of the City Council. Preserve our democratic processes. Thank you for your attention to these matters.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next speaker is Alicia Nicole Green, commenting on a resolution introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Good morning. Please proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Clifton E. Hubbard Jr. Proclamation for Champion of the Week. My name is Alicia Nicole Green, and I am his daughter. I believe that this proclamation is worthy of approval, as my father has been a faithful servant of the Philadelphia school system for 46 years, specifically at Roxborough High School, and later when in retirement at Fells, in multiple sports, football, baseball, gymnastics. He also played a significant role in the National Junior Tennis League as an instructor and then as a regional supervisor. I believe that all of these have affected members of the community in a positive way, not only the children directly, but then also in the aspect of him mentoring coaches to coach children. So he has a profound effect over the life of his career. Thank you very much for allowing me to make comments.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Brian David Hubbard, also commenting on the Champion of the Week resolution introduced today.
Good morning. State your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
David Hubbard, MD. I'm the eldest son of Clifton E. Hubbard Jr., and I'd like to add our family support for the recognition of Clifton E. Hubbard Jr. for Champion of the Week, and we'd like to thank the council for recognizing our father's contributions to public school education and sports in the city of Philadelphia. Though we suffered a profound loss when he passed away on 8/24/2022, we are encouraged to know that our father's impact on the children and educational system in the city of Philadelphia was one of significance and appreciated by those he worked with and those whose lives he touched in the city of Philadelphia. And again, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to add this testimony.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next speaker is Drew Hubbard.
Morning. State your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Drew Hubbard. I am the youngest son of Clifton E. Hubbard Jr. I'd like to thank the council first for this opportunity to speak on behalf of my father and his contributions to the city of Philadelphia. As stated, I am here to speak in favor of the resolution honoring my father's champion of the week. And just adding to what has already been stated, my father spent a lifetime in public service to young people here in the city of Philadelphia through education, athletics, through the various sports that were mentioned, and also through teaching. And this is evidenced by his activity right up until the time of his passing, including from afar, still working on helping to bring the Carpenter Cup to fruition this spring. And it's just the kind of person my father is. And this is important recognition because as a educator and just as a person in the city, my father never sought out the limelight, but he was definitely worthy of recognition. I'd like to thank the council for this opportunity and passage of this resolution. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next speaker is Amy Harfeld, commenting on 220239.
Morning. State your name for the record. Please proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here this morning. My name is Amy Harfeld, and I serve as the National Policy Director for a children's rights nonprofit, the Children's Advocacy Institute. I'm here to express my support for Bill 220239 related to screening, application, and proper use and conservation of federal benefits of foster youth. I've been aware of this issue and working on it since I had a 17-year-old client whose not only disability benefits were intercepted and pocketed by the foster care agency for years without her knowledge, but $11,000 of her $13,000 of savings were also frozen and intercepted by the state in an effort to preserve her eligibility for disability benefits that she never knew about. Across the nation, child welfare agencies routinely apply for benefits for foster youth upon their entry in care without ever notifying them or their attorneys. They almost always intercept those benefits and reimburse themselves for the cost of care with that money, in spite of the fact that federal and state law requires the agency to pay for care when they remove a child from their family or a child enters custody because of the death of one or both of their parents. Just imagine in the context of your family with loved ones to learn that a public agency had applied for and pocketed your insurance benefits or public entitlement dollars without your knowledge for years. It is truly an outrageous scenario to contemplate. The average age of self-sufficiency in the U.S. for young people is 26. One study reveals that the average American youth receives over $50,000 in financial support from their parents between the ages of 18 and 26. Housing, food, education, health care, direct cash assistance, but foster youth are expected to attain self-sufficiency on their own. Adoption of this bill will begin to close that gap for some of the most vulnerable youth in care, those with disabilities and those who have lost one or both of their parents. Good parents work to set their kids up for success. When the state acts as the legal parent, it should work towards the same goal. Not only will passing this bill better help to set Philadelphia's foster youth up for success, it will establish a new gold standard on this issue for the rest of the country to follow. I want to commend Councilwoman Gim and her brilliant staff for the dedication to this issue, for crafting such a thoughtful and elegant bill, and for helping to create more stable futures and brighter opportunities for foster youth today and in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The final speaker is Dr. James Patrick Lynch.
Good morning. State your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Council President and members of Council, for the opportunity to testify today in support of the proclamation for Clifton E. Hubbard to be the champion of the week. I currently serve as the Executive Director of Athletics for the School District of Philadelphia and President of the Philadelphia Public League. So I know firsthand the impact that Cliff has had on our city as a whole and our high school sports And you heard from this family earlier in this testimony about the legacy left and the people he mentored, and I was one of those who he mentored, and especially in my first couple of years in this role, really leaning on Cliff and talking through him through a lot of things. And although it's a profound loss that we have that he's no longer with us, I can assure you that his legacy is continuing on. As his family mentioned, he taught for over 46 years throughout the school district, most prominently at Roxborough High School, and for the last couple of years in the Office of Athletics at the school district. And he was the lead charge in bringing the School District of Philadelphia schools into the PIAA, which has resulted in many achievements at the state level, as well as many of our student athletes going on to compete at post-secondary levels and even into the professional ranks. Cliff was obviously a family man and one that, he kept his values and his character very close. And I don't think anybody is more deserving than Cliff to be honored as Champion of the Week. So I hope you do give consideration. And I want to thank Councilmember Thomas for bringing this forward as this would be a great way to honor his legacy, as well as honor what he brought to our city as a whole and to the Philadelphia Public League. So thank you again, Council President and members of Council, for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it. That concludes our public comment session for the day. I want to thank all of our speakers today. We will now move to our calendar, and we will consider the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 210913. Mr. Decker, with us? Okay. Desto, is Mr. Decker connected? Okay.
Yes, he is, Council President. You're back.
First day back blues. All right.
Make sure they can hear you.
Can you hear me, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Lonnie.
Like first day of school. You know, you got little glitches. It's all good, though. We'll get to people's business done today.
Which one did you order me to read, Mr. President?
It's time. Yeah, we're on the calendar now. We asked you to read the title of resolution number 210913.
A resolution authorizing City Council to retain legal counsel to file a lawsuit to require the administration to implement and enforce Bill number 200425, an ordinance duly enacted by the City Council of Philadelphia, which became law on January 28, 2021.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass for a motion.
Mr. President, I believe that there's a different resolution that was up for motion. My apologies. I think that there was supposed to be a different resolution.
210.
Can I have a point of information?
Yes.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, can I have clarity on that particular resolution, or that resolution isn't being called up before we vote on it?
That's not the one that was supposed to be called up. My apologies.
Okay.
So we want to hold 210.
Yes, Mr. President, that's on hold for right now until we can have further discussion with our colleagues.
Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Bass has asked for a hold on 210913. We will address that at another time. Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the title of number 220643.
A resolution honoring and congratulating Champion of the Week, the Philly Phantoms, and the 8 All-Pro players, Kia A. Ivory, Candace Walker, Dominique Williams, Star Wright, Monique Wilson, Angela Wells, Latasha Richardson, and Hannah DeGraffenfee Reed for making the Women's National Football Conference All-Pro Leagues list.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. In the spirit of highlighting women's sports, especially women's professional teams, I energetically move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been moved in energetically and properly seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and resolution 220-643 has been adopted. Mr. Decker, 220-647.
Resolution renaming North 33rd Street between Chestnut and Arch Streets as Squash Way in recognition of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, resolution number 220-649.
Resolution confirming approval of resolution number 210975 approved December 9, 2021, authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2148, 2150, 2154, 2156 East Birch Street, 2032 East Lehigh Avenue, 2055, 2057 East Rush Street, 2054, 2057, 2056, 2155, 2156, 2157, 2158, 2159, 2160, 2161 East Stella Street, located in the 1st Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Swiller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 220-650.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 2863 Amber Street in the 1st Councilmanic District.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Swiller for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is approved. Mr. Decker, 220-651.
A resolution confirming approval of resolution number 210976 adopted December 9, 2021, authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1739 South 5th Street, 1919 South 6th Street, 2612 South 9th Street, 411, 418, 424, 432 through 34, 624, 626 Cantrell Street, 426, 420, 424 Mercy Street, located in the 1st Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Swiller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed,
Aye.
the ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, read the title of bill number 322A. Decker, you're on mute.
An ordinance amending Chapter 16400 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Surplus Properties by adding criteria for evaluating non-competitive dispositions.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier for an amendment to bill number 220-322A.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 220322A. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council. I move for the adoption of the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Bill number 220322A has been amended, and bill number 220322A, as amended, will be placed on a final passing calendar at the next session of council. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 220412.
An ordinance amending Chapter 193900 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Tax Exemptions for Long-Time Owner Occupants of Residential Properties to revise the cap on the total amount of exemptions authorized in the program.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I move that bill number 220412 be withdrawn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that bill number 220412 be withdrawn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and the motion carries. Bill number 220412 has been withdrawn. For the record, this was one of the bills that was a part of the budget package. We passed a different bill that was sponsored by Councilman Johnson. This particular bill is no longer applicable as it relates to Lewis. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 220120.
An ordinance continuing the Mount Airy Business Improvement District beyond its termination date in an area that generally includes both sides of Germantown Avenue from 6300 to 7631 and certain blocks of streets that intersect that portion of Germantown Avenue, and for which the Mount Airy Improvement District Incorporated, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, is a neighborhood improvement district management association for the district, approving a final plan and report for the district, including a list of proposed improvements and their estimated cost, and providing for assessment fees to be levied on property owners within the district.
Thank you. This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 13, the nays are 0. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 220365.
An ordinance continuing the Port Richmond Industrial Development Enterprise Neighborhood Improvement District beyond its termination date in the area bounded generally by the north side of Allegheny Avenue, the west side of Memphis Street between Allegheny Avenue and East Westmoreland Street, the south side of East Westmoreland Street, the property line of 3300 Agate Street, and the back of properties facing west along the east side of Tulip Street between Westmoreland and Ontario Streets. The south side of Ontario Street, the west side of Tulip Street between Ontario and Tioga Streets, the north side of Tioga Street, the back of properties facing west on the east side of Tulip Street between Tioga and Venango Streets, the back of properties facing along the north side of Venango Street, including the property located at 2301 through 07 East Venango Street, and the back of properties facing east along the west side of Amber Street, as well as the properties located at 2066 through 80 East Tioga and 2082 East Tioga Streets.
6, 7, 7, 4.
Continuing the Port Richmond Industrial Development Enterprise Incorporated, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district.
Thank you. This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 13, the nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 22039. Folks, we need you, please mute yourself if you're not speaking.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Decker. Again, please read the title of 220-239.
An ordinance amending Chapter 21-1800 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Foster Care to add new provisions related to screening and application for benefits for foster youth, limiting the use of Social Security, supplemental security income, veterans, or other various benefits, and providing notice to the foster child for certain actions taken with respect to Social Security and other benefits.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I just wanted to say very briefly to express my gratitude to all the individuals who helped make this bill possible. I want to start with Mr. Vaughn Jackson, a loving father of two sons whom he fostered and then adopted, and who was largely the impetus. He came forward to share his stories about the city's practices. It's very important to understand that this is not unique to Philadelphia. This is actually a state and national problem. But here, again, in our city, we're going to be the leaders to show that we can solve problems, that we are going to commit ourselves to fixing things and to make things right. And most importantly, that if we can do this here, we can show that we can give our foster youth a head start and do the most important thing that we can possibly do, which is to keep a family whole and to keep our children well cared for. I cannot thank our advocates and loving foster and adopted families all across the city of Philadelphia and beyond enough. I want to thank Steve Volk and Julie Christie of Resolve Philly, whose investigative work last December covering the incredible efforts of Mr. Vaughn Jackson helped move us to action. And I also want to thank the administration, especially Commissioner Kim Ali, First Deputy for Office of Children and Families, Jessica Shapiro, and Deputy Mayor Vanessa Garrett Harley for their dedication and commitment to seeing change. It's extremely complicated and difficult with the state regulations, but I know we're going to find our way through. Thank you very much, Council President. Thank you very much to all my colleagues.
Thank you, Councilwoman. This bill had been read on two different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Councilwoman Bass.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill. Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 11. The nays are
Mr.
0.
President.
Majority.
Mr.
Yes,
President,
Chair.
I would like to be recorded as aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Bass has voted aye. The ayes are 12. The nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in affirmative, the bill passes. Councilwoman Gim, did you need to be recognized again? Maybe. You have your hand. Okay, no problem. Thank you. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolutions?
I do, Mr. President.
Thank you.
A resolution honoring and recognizing Juntos on their 20th anniversary for their inspiring and transformative work, serving, caring for, and organizing the Latinx immigrant community in South Philadelphia and beyond, and their leadership in fighting for the right to a quality education and the freedom to live with dignity regardless of immigration status. Introduced today by Councilwoman Gim.
You recognize Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Asian American Studies program at the University of Pennsylvania, and its success in cultivating a vibrant field of scholarship while also serving as a home for numerous generations of students with an incredible diversity of experience, fostering deep connections within our city's Asian communities, serving as a potent force in the fight against racism and shaping the conversation of what it means to be Asian American in the past and in the present. Introduced today by Councilwoman Gim.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the life and memory of Champion of the Week, Clifton E. Hubbard Jr., and his 46 years dedicated to the Philadelphia School District, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas. Councilman Thomas.
On behalf of Member Thomas, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you, sir. We got a
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Streets and Services to hold hearings to examine the Philadelphia Parking Authority's customer convenience and accessibility to remedy parking violations, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Can you hear me, Council President?
We hear you now. Yes, sir.
I apologize. I'm having little issues. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Education to hold hearings regarding the Philadelphia Youth Network regarding their Work Ready program and concerns about delays in compensation for workers, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution requesting the mayor to return to council bill number 220517A, entitled a resolution authorizing the installation, ownership, and maintenance of various encroachments in the vicinity of One Convention Avenue for the purpose of reconsideration by the council of the vote by which said bill passed council, introduced today by Councilwoman Gautier.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gautier.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
And a resolution authorizing City Council's Committee on Public Safety and the Special Committee on Gun Violence Prevention to hold hearings regarding relocating victims who are targets of deadly violence and determining how the $500,000 appropriated for their relocation was utilized, introduced today by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I move for adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Been properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions for adoption, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, we will now move to special business on bill number 220517A. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Gautier for a motion regarding special business.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of special business at this time.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that the rules of council be suspended to permit the consideration of special business at this time. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion passes. And Mr. Decker, please read the letter from the mayor.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, I am returning herewith as requested by your resolution adopted today. Bill number 220517A, entitled an ordinance authorizing the installation, ownership, and maintenance of various encroachments in the vicinity of One Convention Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19104, under certain terms and conditions, for the purpose of reconsideration by the council of the vote by which said bill passed council.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier for a motion that council reconsider the vote by which bill number 220517A was passed.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative, the motion carries, and the vote by which bill number 220517A was passed has been reconsidered. Bill number 220517A will be placed on the final passage calendar. That completes our calendar for today. Prior to recognizing members for the last time regarding speeches, I will note for the record at this time we will use the chat feature available on Microsoft Teams to allow members to signify that they wish to be recognized. In order to comply with the Sunshine Act, the chat feature must only be used for that particular purpose. Are there any speeches on the part of the minority? The chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
Thank you so much, Council President. Good morning, colleagues, and welcome back to Council, to my colleagues and everyone's watching. I just wanted to briefly share information about an event my office is hosting this weekend. So this Saturday from 2 to 6 in front of the Constitution Center, my office is hosting a new voter registration party honoring the rites of passage of voting for 18-year-olds in the city. We have a long list of partners who are helping us with this event, and we are inviting young people and their families to come out to this party and register to vote. There are many important issues on the ballot this fall, and we're hoping to make sure that as many young people as possible are registered so their voices can be heard. Thank you so much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. That is so very important. We're all intended. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. October 21st, I went to visit a home. The home had a bullet hole in the front of it. The first time I actually heard about the level of violence where young people basically were shooting at mothers who they believed were somehow connected to witnesses or people who cooperated. The first time I heard about that. And I also heard that these women were promised and were awaiting relocation of some sorts. And that seemed to be a failure. There was a transfer ordinance in early November with the cooperation of the administration and the council members Jones and Johnson, where $500,000 was appropriated specifically to move these women. They have not been moved. And the mystery is what happened to the money? I have no idea. We're trying to figure that out, but we're going to approach October 21st, 2022 soon. So there has been a failing, and since that time, we've learned about the level of random and wanton violence where people are being shot at simply for being in a photograph with somebody else on social media. The level of trying to hurt someone by hurting someone who's in a photograph with them. This type of violence has to be stopped, and the fact that we all, the entire city, knows that we need witnesses and witnesses have to be protected, but these are not even witnesses. They're just relatives of somebody. I heard rumors about what happened to this money, and that's why I've introduced a resolution to find out where did this money go, because it was definitely not supposed to go to the district attorney's office. Specifically, the district attorney has money for relocating witnesses. These are not witnesses. They're not going to a trial. They're just being shot at. And we've gone through this with the administration, with the school district, because you can't move the family. You have to have a house to move the children to where they can go to school. This whole thing must be dealt with in a final manner where $500,000, no money spent to relocate these targets. Anyway, I just would put out to the public, to my colleagues and to the administration, we should find out why the victims have not been moved and where this money is and why it's sitting there. And if the city cannot handle this, perhaps there should be another entity like the state or somebody else that will take care of this. All right. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Speeches on behalf of the majority. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues. I'm happy to be back in council. I know a lot of us did a lot of interesting things this summer. Throughout the course of the next couple of weeks, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've done. I think the thing that I'm most proud of, though, is the free camp I did this past summer. So for 3 weeks in the summertime, we had over 100 young people that we essentially occupied their time in different parts of the city, from Kensington to South Philadelphia, to the Northwest section. And my colleagues joined me in each of the locations: Councilmember Squilla, Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Johnson, former Councilmember Sherrell Parker, Councilmember Brooks, and we had, as well as former Councilmember Dom. And we had a great time interacting with the young people, learning from them, listening to them, and recognizing their concerns as it relates to the city of Philadelphia. It feels somewhat numbing to come back to council dealing with adults now that I spent my entire time working with young people this summer, only to continue to be in the face of a lot of catastrophes. I do want to say that some of these issues that we've seen, especially recently, are really heart-wrenching, are really heartbreaking. I know Councilmember Gotti was out there with Tiffany Fletcher and her family, but I felt compelled to at least say her name and acknowledge the fact that she was our colleague, might not have been a council member in the city of Philadelphia, but a city employee, one with an important job as it relates to working with youth and young people on a consistent basis. And what she did on a daily basis is where my heart is working with the demographic of folks that I feel like I'm actually called upon to work with. So I did want to take a moment to offer my condolences to her and her family, to really put into context some of these issues that we're facing in the city of Philadelphia, and continue to push all parties involved to do the best that we can to address the senseless crime that we're seeing as it relates to the current state of Philadelphia. So I wanted to first acknowledge her family, as well as some of the work that was done this summer. I also want to say thank you to the Hubbard family with the passing of Cliff Hubbard, looking at his impact on sports, athletics, the school district of Philadelphia, the legacy he left behind. Also thank Dr. Lynch for his testimony, the person who's currently responsible for filling those shoes. Last but not least, similar to my colleague, Councilmember Brooks, we're having a big event this Saturday at Triumph Baptist Church, Saturday morning, working with Councilmember Bass. We'll be giving away a couple £1,000s of food to anybody who's in need, or to people who are not in need. If you just want to get a little bit of support and some resources to offset maybe not paying for some meals this week. We know that the economy is having a huge impact on the entire country, but we also know poor and middle class families in the city of Philadelphia are being hit pretty hard. So just to try to offer a little Band-Aid for that situation that we know we're dealing with, we're going to be giving away a couple £1,000s of food. On Saturday, we're going to be able to provide some free resources. The event is going to take place Saturday morning. We encourage people to arrive early. We'll be there as early as 10 o'clock, and we'll have other resources that will be available to families as well. So thank you all so much for your support. Colleagues, welcome back to City Council. I'm looking forward to a very productive, informative, and hopefully resourceful to the constituents of Philadelphia fall session. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you, Council President. I want to thank my colleagues who recognize Tiffany Fletcher, our very own Parks and Rec employee who was tragically and senselessly slayed at Mill Creek Playground. And I thought that this being our first session of council following that murder, that we should take a moment of silence to recognize her life and her contributions to her community and to our city. So please join me in taking a moment of silence.
Thank you.
I also wanted to say a few words. We've had a lot of violence in West Philly and Southwest Philly and in many areas of our city, particularly over the past 3 years. And all of it hurts, but this hurt in a different way for me. The people who work at the Mill Creek Rec Center, they work so hard, so incredibly hard to make sure that it's a space that is warm and welcoming and inviting for the young people in that community. And even the volunteers who are dedicated to the Mill Creek Rec Center work really hard to fill in the gaps where the city, can't, to make sure that it's an inviting and safe space. Tiffany, in particular, was a resident of the Mill Creek community. She came on as a pool attendant this past summer during a time when we had a call out to people to really help us to open pools. And, the staff at the center liked her so much, and she liked the job so much that she decided to stay on to continue in that work. And that's why she was there this past Friday when the event happened. And, to have her be cut down in the midst of that really noble work is just incredibly heartbreaking and hard to believe. And, our Parks and Rec employees more broadly work so hard to make sure that these are safe and fun spaces for our young people. In particular, the staff that work at rec centers, when many of us were virtual, they were in these centers, every day, coming in to make sure that young people had access to those centers. And so to be in a place where that work is not safe for, these dedicated employees, it just cuts, to the heart. And, another thing that's really striking to me about what happened at Mill Creek is that these were very young people who were engaged in a gun battle, and that gun battle took Tiffany's life. And I know that, as a city, we have efforts like GVI, or group violence intervention, where we are really trying to identify people connected to street groups and trying to put them on a different path. But I would encourage us to look even more deeply at this issue of street group violence. It seems to me that a lot of the violence that's happening in my district in particular are, these groups of, in particular, young people connected to different geographies that are biting back and forth and shooting back and forth at one another. And I think we need to dedicate more capacity and more, and we need to work harder to understand these conflicts, why they're arising, and how we can calm these conflicts down. I know, back in the day, in the 70s, for example, there were many efforts around gang mediation. And I think I would encourage us to move back into a space where we're making that a bigger part of our work. I spent many hours at the hospital on Friday with Tiffany's family and with city employees, including our Parks and Rec Commissioner, Catherine Outlevel. And Catherine said something, while we were waiting in hopes that Tiffany would come out okay, that I thought was really profound. The 14-year-old that was arrested in connection with that shooting would have been 11 when we started this pandemic. And so thinking about the space we're in, where our young people have been cut off from resources for a very long time, they haven't been able to socialize like they have in the past. I don't think we've yet scratched the surface in just understanding what is going on with young people and what is driving them towards the type of tragic violence that we're seeing. And what makes it even more dangerous is the ample supply of guns. So young people who've had a very difficult several years have easy access to guns as well. And that's another issue that I think, even with, the resistance at the state level, we just have to work harder at and be more creative at in terms of not only identifying these very young people, but getting them to let go of these weapons. And so I just wanted to speak about that. That's something that I'm certainly going to be focused on here in council. But most importantly, I wanted to make a space to just honor Tiffany Fletcher's service to our great city of Philadelphia. And I also wanted to make people aware that the Parks and Recreation, in concert with the Parks Alliance, has set up a GoFundMe to raise money for Tiffany's 3 sons and their support. Currently, that fund is at a little over 25,000. But I encourage, and I think all of my colleagues and everyone who has given to it, I encourage everyone to give and give again. I think, it's very important that we wrap our arms around those young men because their lives are going to be forever changed, and they'll need the support of all of us in the community. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Our hearts go out. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to be real brief. Does feel good to be back in City Council. It's good to see everybody's faces who I haven't had an opportunity to see up close and personal. But just a couple announcements. This Saturday at Wharton Square Park in South Philadelphia at 23rd and Wharton Streets, I will be hosting the Peace Not Guns, Stop the Violence Community Day. It's just basically a day where we're bringing the community together to provide resources for victims and co-victims of gun violence, trauma support services, violence prevention services, career opportunities for young people as well as the community as a whole. We also will be having our first Peace Not Guns award ceremony, honoring and recognizing individuals who are on the front line addressing this issue. And also we will have the Peace Not Guns Kids Zone. Just an opportunity and a safe place for our children to come out and have a good time, free food, free entertainment, but most importantly, motivational speakers with a message of peace, not guns, and stop the violence. And so again, that's going to be on this Saturday, Wharton Square Park, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So to all my listeners, I want to make sure that they have the information about it. Any of my colleagues that want to come out and participate, you are more than welcome. But it's a day that sends a message across the city of Philadelphia that if we ever want to have a city of nonviolence and a city of peace, not guns, it's all about coming together and working with one another. But most importantly, providing the information and resources to our communities. Second announcement is yesterday at Yesha Grand Ball Hall in South Philadelphia, we hosted our first property tax relief workshop. It was a great turnout right? And we worked in partnership with OPA, the Revenue Department, Community Legal Services, Senior Law Center, to make sure that people are taking advantage of addressing the 31% property assessment increase that individuals want to see on their tax bills. And so great turnout, very, very informative. We had 3 other events. Our next place is going to be next Wednesday at Myers Recreation Center, 58th and King Sessing. And then following that, we're going to be on the 24th at the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ of the Apostolic Faith at 22nd and Bainbridge Street. And then also we're going to be at St. Monica's Church on the 22nd, which is, next Thursday at 16th and Rittner. And Mark, tell me if I'm wrong about 16th and Rittner in terms of location-wise, but I think I'm correct. But basically, it's a series of workshops to try to make sure people can sign up for the tax relief measures that we passed, as well as the first level of review if they want to challenge their property tax assessment. I want to thank Council President for you and your team for putting together a letter with a lot of the details regarding those tax relief measures that we put together last budget season. They came across very well in the community in terms of people receiving them in the mail. And so This is a matter of life, and I would like to say individuals' life. I guess I would say a person deciding to pay for their senior, paying for their prescription drugs, or paying for the actual property tax. But based upon our work, now your property taxes are frozen if you meet a certain criteria and you're a senior. And that's something to be proud of. And most recently, I want to thank all my colleagues for signing on to a letter as well. And I've been talking to the administration about extending, as well as Councilman Squilla. We've been on the phone last couple of days about extending the first level review deadline extension. Nowhere in the world people are going to make that deadline if they just getting their tax bills like on the 28th and the deadline is on the 3rd. So it's totally unacceptable. We're going to also work with BRT to see if they can work with us to also either push back their deadline or give consideration to people who may file late because they may have been denied from the first level of review. So thank you very much, Council President, colleagues. Good to see everybody. And let's get the work done as we always do. Good to see everybody, though. Peace.
17th and Rittner, council member.
All right, don't say that too loud. That's my district, man. At a moment.
And they are going to extend, I'm sorry for interrupting, point of information. They are going to extend the first level review to the 14th of October. So thank you for your hard work.
Good news.
You're welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two things that are heavy on my heart and mind. The first one is Derek Green, Maria Sanchez, Sherelle Parker, and Alan Dom. If you're looking at this or watch it on reruns later today, tonight, know that I don't remember saying thank you for your service, but also already first day, I miss you. And I miss you because we didn't always all the time agree, but I understood your rationale and how you came to positions that you took and respected it always. And so I want to thank you for your service to this city, to city council in particular, and say that we may have to fill your spot, but you will never, ever be replaced. Secondly, last night was out supporting District Attorney Larry Krasner, who had been censored by the House of Representatives this week. 2 points on that. Number one, it is incredible to me that when we pass gun laws here in the city of Philadelphia, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania says, oh no, city of Philadelphia, you should not have lost and stolen gun reporting. We pass sensible gun laws about red flags, and they'll say, oh no, you might be superseding your level of responsibility compared to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We run Second Amendment issues. It is incredible to me that you can have other district attorneys in other parts of the Commonwealth that are up on charges. And you feel it's okay to ignore that and, not pay attention to that, but you want to find our district attorney in contempt. I want to say that is unfair, and it's not whether or not you agree with District Attorney Krasner or not. The audacity of the Commonwealth to tie our hands behind our back and don't allow us to defend ourselves, but yet they want to meddle in our internal business. Second point, my colleague Cindy Bass came up with a profound statement that says, what do you do when you realize the shooter lives with you? I told her, I love it so much, I'm going to get a t-shirt. I'll never plagiarize it. I will say where I got it from. But that is the hard conversation a lot of parents have to look in the mirror and have what their children need. And we, as a community, as a city, as a neighborhood, have to ask that question of our children, demand the accountability from them. Some of the folk in my district have that problem. I'll never forget a mother in Winfield when it was brought to her attention that her son had a gun and had showed the gun to another fellow student at their school. And when the police captain confronted her along with DHS at her home, she kind of threw her hands up and said, I don't know what to do with them. Thousands of parents, single parents often, have to face that responsibility. And we as society have to give them more options. We have to give them intervention, whether it's DHS, whether it's other forms of intervention to help out with that. Because when we fail them in that kind of intervention way, look at the 100 shooter review, often, Mr. President, they raised their hand, said, someday I'm going to be dangerous. We just didn't believe them. So I look forward to having those tough conversations. I look forward to going with my colleague down to the Juvenile Justice Center today to see what we can do to recognize those young people and give them the help they need early so that they aren't the defendant, please rise later on. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Figure it out. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to follow up on a couple of things. The first is I did want to, I see Councilman Jones is busy, but I did want to thank him for acknowledgement of a program that we've been working on for quite some time now. As he mentioned, what do you do when the shooter lives it with you? And we have been working on that because, as we all know, the shooters here in the city of Philadelphia have become younger and younger. There was a time when it was unheard of, really, to hear of a 14, 13, 12, or 11-year-old shooter anywhere. But it seems to be the thing now. It seems to be happening on a much more frequent basis. And so, the idea behind this plan, behind this initiative, is what do you do? What do you do when you walk into the room of your 13-year-old son, and I'm a strong proponent of, listen, running through that room, flip over that mattress, look in the closets, look under the bed, and see what's going on. And so what do you do when you come across a firearm? And so, we were having some discussion about it, and the question is very valid because most people don't want to call the police on their, or new teenage child, 13, 14, and so forth. They don't want to call the police. They don't want to report them. But what do you do to make sure that your child neither becomes a suspect in a crime, a perpetrator of a crime, or the victim of a crime? And so how do we manage that is really the question behind this initiative. And we've been working on that, and we anticipate, Mr. President, doing some more work, which you'll be hearing about in the next coming weeks. As we unveil and unroll this program. So, I do want to offer my condolences to the family of the young woman who worked for the Parks and Recreation System that we lost this week, as well as some of the other horrific homicides throughout the entire city of Philadelphia. We had a father of 7 in Germantown who was shot on his front lawn, ambushed in front of his home. And, we had a 17-year-old girl who was, gunned down in Frankfurt, I understand. And so many of these stories, it's hard to keep up with them. But this is something that we need to keep up with because we need to keep talking about it and working towards a solution. We're all frustrated. We're all afraid. We're all concerned. And, this is something that won't go away if we just go in the house at the end of our days and close the door and close our blinds. This is not going to make it go away. So we have to be engaged. We have to be a part of the solution. That's each and every one of us. We all have some role to play. And so the question is, what is that role and how do we make that happen? So I just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to thank Councilmember Thomas for the food giveaway over at Triumph Baptist Church. It's a pleasure to always be at Triumph. Victory for everyone from Triumph as we recently celebrated Pastor Hall's 90th birthday, and what a wonderful occasion that was. And so I want to thank my colleague for always keeping Triumph at the forefront of all of our minds and doing this fantastic event and making sure that we can close that bridge and close that gap with folks who may have a hunger issue, a food insecurity issue, and that we will be out there on Saturday and hope to see you there. Also, I just wanted to mention something else our office is doing and follow up on something Councilman Johnson mentioned. He said that, he had done a property tax relief workshop I think it was last night. And, so he's doing fantastic work. I want to thank him for that. We are also in the Northwest doing some work around appealing property tax assessments. And so we've been working with the BRT and OPA, and we're going to have them come into our offices to help folks do the actual appeal. So if you've received your notice and you want to get help doing the appeal, you want to make sure it's done right, we encourage you to call our office, make an appointment to come in. Right now, we're operating myself along with my colleagues in All Things Good, myself, State Senator Sharif Street, State Senator Art Haywood, and State Representative Derisha Parker. And so we're going to be having a host of these workshops pretty much every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. And we also have a Tuesday, September 20th from 11 to 1 in my office, and also Wednesday, September 21st from 11 to 1 in Senator Sharif Street's office. So we want to really encourage you. And also Friday, September 23rd from 10 to 4:30 at Senator Art Haywood. So those are during the day. The rest are pretty much during the evening. But we really want folks to come out and we want to be helpful to you. So please come, please bring your paperwork, bring your assessment. We would love to help you with making sure that your property tax appeal is filed. It's filed on time, and that we can help you, because we know that a large part of the Northwest has been adversely affected by these assessments. So please feel free to contact us at 215-686-3424 for more information. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you. That concludes our speeches on behalf of the minority and the majority. So with that, I would like to recognize Councilman Squilla for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the council stand adjourned until Thursday, September 22nd, 2022 at 10 a.m.
Second.
in Council Chambers, room 400, City Hall.
Second.
Saying it has been moved and enthusiastically second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Be safe and love you guys.
Thank you all. Take care.